Hello everyone. Welcome to this channel Jikook universe. In this video we will discuss something interesting and definitely a shame to miss. Come on, watch until the end. One simple sentence. Just a few seconds. But its impact felt like a calming wave that rippled through every corner of my heart. Those words were heard in the background of a video Jimin recently uploaded to his Instagram stories. The video featured a cat seemingly comfortable in someone's hand. They were green. It's as if they're sitting by a campfire, far from the hustle and bustle of the world, accompanied only by the sounds of nature and each other's presence. There's a sense of peace that's hard to describe. It's like a slice of life too honest to be publicized, but too beautiful to be completely hidden. Many speculate, were they together when the video was filmed? Was that the moment before Jungkook had to return to Korea? And, most awaited, is there a full video? But sometimes, a sincere second is worth more than a polished hour. And a soft voice can hold more meaning than all the words spoken in public. Jimin and Jungkook always have their own way of showing each other their feelings. Not always through hugs, not always with words. Sometimes just with their constant presence. Or with a sudden smile like the one at the airport recently, when Jimin's name was mentioned by a reporter, and Jungkook responded with a small, hard-to-read smile. Some people saw that smile as a sign of indifference. Some even called it cynical. But not every smile can be measured solely by its shape. For those who understand their relationship, that smile is like a small window into Jungkook's world. A world in which Jimin holds a special place. Because that's the truth. Jimin is more than just a bandmate to Jungkook. He was someone who had accompanied her through stressful nights. Someone who stood by her side when the world was just beginning to know their names, and someone who knew how to soothe her heart without needing to say much. That's why, for some, a single cat video can feel like poetry. Because beneath that serenity lies a deep connection. A connection that wasn't formed overnight, but over thousands of days together. On stage, off-screen, in silence and in laughter. Their connection isn't always visible, but it's always felt. Jimin has a quiet, gentle way of showing his affection. And Jungkook, though seemingly more reserved, never really hides how comfortable he feels with Jimin. Look at the way they sit next to each other in interviews, the way they laugh together at jokes only they understand, or the way they seek each other out in a crowd. Some people try to compare this relationship to Jungkook's closeness with the other members. But if you look closely, Jimin and Jungkook's relationship has always had a different tone. There's a steady tenderness. There's a depth that doesn't need to be flaunted. There's an intimacy that's not feigned. At the airport, for example, Jungkook is often seen walking alone, often arriving and departing without waiting for anyone. But when he's with Jimin, everything feels different. They're often seen waiting for each other, walking hand in hand, or occasionally glancing at each other just to check. You're still here, right? It's not about over-the-top romance. It's about comfort, about being each other's safe haven. And when they're in the same room, there's a kind of gravity that with his spontaneity. And together they become two polar opposites that complement each other. That doesn't mean they're perfect. They're human and their relationship will have its ups and downs. But that's the beauty of it. They don't try to be ideal. They simply try to be present. When one is tired, the other listens. When one smiles, the other follows. When one doubts, the other gives them confidence. And perhaps that's what makes so many people so connected to their story. Because it all feels real. Because we can see ourselves in that relationship. In the desire to be understood. In the need to feel content with just one person. That cat video may be just a fleeting moment on Instagram. But for those who are sensitive, it's a window into a relationship that's been going on for so long, so deep and so sincere. Will they ever admit anything directly? Maybe not. Maybe they never feel the need. Because what they had was strong enough, even without words. They didn't need a stage to express anything. Because they had already walked that stage together. And what was left, after the lights went down, after the music stopped, after the applause subsided, was each other. There were many moments where Jimin and Jungkook didn't speak to each other in front of the camera. But if we pay closer attention, we'll see so many things unspoken but so powerfully felt. The way Jimin turned his head when Jungkook laughed. The way Jungkook leaned slightly when Jimin spoke. It was as if their bodies had become accustomed to seeking each other. To an outsider, it might just be habit. But those who have been on this journey from the beginning know that habit is built from comfort, from time, from trust. And like a house slowly built stone by stone, their relationship took shape in an unhurried way. No grand declarations, no drama, just two people consistently returning to each other even as the world changed around them. As the BTS members pursued their own solo activities, there was a palpable void among fans. But somehow, Jimin and Jungkook always found a way to be there for each other, whether through behind-the-scenes support, small social media posts, or sweet coincidences that happen too often to be called coincidence. One such example was when Jungkook posted a candid photo of himself on Weverse. It seemed simple, a sleepy face, an amused expression, half-open eyes. But behind the photo there was something familiar, as if it wasn't just a portrait of himself, but also a silent way of saying, "I'm still here." And interestingly, the style of the post, candid, casual, unfiltered, was very similar to Jimin's usual style. It was as if they shared a perspective on the world, on themselves, and on how they wanted to be remembered. That's what sets this relationship apart from mere friendship. Because there's no striving for perfection. There's just honesty. When they're together, they can be completely themselves. If we look at videos of them rehearsing or backstage, there are many small moments that might go unnoticed. Like when Jimin touches Jungkook's shoulder before a performance, or when Jungkook tugs on Jimin's arm to position himself more comfortably. It's a subtle display of affection, but it's very noticeable. And perhaps that's their strength. They're not trying to show anything to the world. They're simply showing each other who they are. And because of that, we can all relate. In a world full of imagery, a relationship like this feels like a breath of fresh air. A relationship based not on appearances but on genuine presence. A relationship built not to be seen but to be felt. And when they stand side by side, when they walk through the airport without much conversation, when they sit in the waiting room without the need to fuss over each other, we see something very rare. Intimacy in silence. It's not something that can be engineered. It's the result of years of walking together through pressures, triumphs, longings, and losses that only those who have experienced them can understand. And perhaps that's what makes Jungkook's voice in Jimin's cat video so meaningful. Because that voice isn't just a sentence to a pet. It's an expression of someone's tender heart. And the fact that Jimin chose to share it with the world shows how important that moment was to him. Some people may still doubt their closeness. Some may continue to try to find a logical explanation or reject it altogether. But some things don't need explanations. Because what can be felt with the heart doesn't always need to be proven with words. What Jimin and Jungkook have isn't something that can be copied. It's not something that can be packaged with a label. Because every time they're together, they remind us that intimacy doesn't always mean openly declaring love. Sometimes, it's enough to sit next to each other without saying a word, but knowing exactly how each other feels. And when the world tried to tear them apart with their own busy lives, rumors, public pressure, and distance, they still found their way back to each other. Without a map, without promises, only with the confidence that grows from knowing each other. Jimin knew when to leave Jungkook alone. Jungkook knew when to approach uninvited. They had a rhythm. And it wasn't artificial. It grew. If one felt uncomfortable, the other knew. If one started laughing, the other laughed too before they even knew why. If one felt doubtful, the other became a shoulder to cry on. It wasn't just chemistry. It was a language. A language only two hearts that have grown together can understand. They weren't a couple by any standard definition. But who needs a definition when their actions are more than enough? To many, Jimin and Jungkook may be a mystery. But to those willing to look honestly, their relationship is one of the purest things ever to emerge from the spotlight of the entertainment industry. And perhaps that's why we keep coming back to them. Because in a harsh world, their relationship is a reminder that quiet, discreet, unstressed togetherness is still possible. They don't ask for admiration. They simply demonstrate how to care for, respect, and understand each other. And that's where their beauty lies. But in what they do, in every small touch, in every silent smile, in every meaningful glance. Because love in its truest form isn't always heard, but it's always felt. And Jimin and Jungkook, they don't need to say it to make us believe that what they have is real. Thank you for accompanying the sweet story of Jimin and Jungkook today. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss their next special moment. See you in the next video, Jikookers.